The Nigerian system has failed every single person.
We're the giants of Africa and we're looking like mouse, we're looking like rats right now.
There's only so much you can draw a rubber band back.
The significance of this moment is the birth, the rebirth of our nation, Nigeria.
There's so much that is right happening here, and I think people need to narrow in on that.
La ilaha illallah. Say it again. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. I go always pray for you. Make the grace of Jesus see you through. I go always pray for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
They didn't think that when the Muslims were praying, the Christians would protect them, and when the Christians were praying, the Muslims would protect them. They never expected our youth to unite. They didn't think that Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, Edo people will come together and fight as one. The rich, the poor, regardless of status, every single person is fighting as one with one voice.
The significance of this moment is the birth, the rebirth of our nation, Nigeria. This is the new Nigeria.
And I think that the government are a little bit confused, maybe slightly scared, not really understanding what to do with us. So it's in our hands to ensure that we don't take this moment for granted. We don't just continue to protest. We actually, come to them with all of our needs, all the things that we're demanding. And until we get our demands met, we do not back down.
Power must change hands. It's time to switch.
The End SARS protests mark a pivotal moment for Nigeria, an opportunity for real change. But how did this all begin? The protest started in 2017 as a Twitter campaign using the hashtag End SARS to demand the Nigerian government to eliminate the force. On Saturday, 3rd October 2020, a video started trending on social media showing a Sars police officer shooting a young Nigerian in front of Wetland Hotel in Ughelli, Delta State.
Follow them so they run.
Follow them, oh.
They run.
Did not kill the boy, oh. Save that Ughelli.
Save that Ughelli. See them.
009.
009.
For front of
Wetland
Hotel. See the license. Now the bike got this license.
It was alleged that the police officer took away the young man's vehicle, a Lexus SUV. The trending video caused public outcry on social media, especially on Twitter, with the End SARS hashtag being revitalized. On Thursday, October 8th, Runtown and Fowles led the first protest in the 2020 movement. By October 9th through the 11th, the protest began to build in momentum. The youth across the country continued to protest for the disbandment of SARS. On October 11th, the IGP of Police, Muhammad Amadu, announced the dissolution of SARS. On the same day, social media uncovered 4 tweets with the same promise, years apart. The youth responded with 5 demands, which they later began to call 5 for 5.
These people are trying to confuse us, but that won't happen by the grace of God. They are just changing name from SARS to SWAT. That's not what we want.
You told us that we are the leaders of tomorrow, but we are not seeing. You are not giving us the platform. You're killing us. We just want to live. We just want to end SARS, end police brutality. We want to be in a happy country so we can thrive like youth.
One of the SARS told me to pull off my shoe after they searched me and they could not find me with anything. One of the SARS officials said I should pull off my shoe and give to him. I told him, sir, for what? Why will you collect my shoe?
On October 12th through 19th, the protest built in momentum.
We are ready to stay here to 100 nights till we get results from President Buhari.
The protest is still saying end Sars. It needs to switch. I just think we really need to be very organized.
Now youths were not only calling for the disbandment of Sars, but end Sars represented so much more. It began to take on an agenda to end corruption and bad governance in the country.
I just feel like the Nigerian system has failed every single person. I feel like the youth, even our parents' parents, and if we don't fight this fight till the end, our children succumb inclusive.
There's only so much you can draw a rubber band back, and either two things happen. Either it comes forward or it breaks. So Nigerians have reached that breaking point, to be honest. I'm tired of going to developed countries and coming back home and feeling like, how am I from here? How am I from here? You can go on Twitter and see somebody do a comedy skit in Kenya, and you're looking in the background like, oh wow, there's streets, it's clean, oh, they have light. Why, after you finish laughing at the comedy skit, you're like, wait, hold on, why can't I experience this type of infrastructure at home? I come back to Nigeria with the giants of Africa, and we're looking like mouse, we're looking like rats right now.
SARS must end and Nigeria must be reformed.
Power must change hands, it's time to switch. Tonight should prove to any Nigerian that Nigeria can be better if we have better governance.
As the days progressed, not only youths were protesting, people of all generations joined in.
When I was of your age, this country did not look this bad. We all had future. There is no future. Children are no progress. Wrong. Rather than that, there is too much money going into wrong hands.
So what do you see? Do you see this as a movement that's going to actually affect change, or do you think it's going to come and go and people will forget?
I see it as a movement that's going to affect change, no matter how small that change starts as, even if it starts as a seed and it just continues to grow. Something has been sparked here in the last week and a bit, and there's no way they can kill it now.
October 17th, the Army announced the commencement of its annual exercise, Crocodile Smile, the 6th nationwide, what they claim to be a cyber warfare operation.
Make your camera day on every time on the 20th. No off your camera. When you see them on your camera, point down on their face, kneel down. You there? If you don't there, give me 5 pounds. You go run! You go run! You go run!
We had heard rumors of the army coming on that particular day, but we were told that it was just going to be a simple, ordinary march that they did every single year around that time, that period. So, people weren't really scared. We were kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, the army will come. And we were told that when the army came, we should get on our knees or, sit on the floor, wave the Nigerian flag and, just sing the national anthem. And even if they wanted to, they won't be able to shoot.
I'm getting married. Again.
Lekki Expressway tollgate is a main highway essential for everyday commuters. Protesters maintained a 24-hour blockage of the site. There were always a large group of protesters at the site. As a result, it added many hours to the average commute, as Lagos and Nigeria in general doesn't have strong infrastructure. The Lekki tollgate blockage had 2 reputations. Many commuters and people of older generations considered it to be a concert, an excuse for the youth to party on the streets.
No, we are not joking here. This music is part of the ginger, it's part of the protest, because even the songs they are playing too, it helps to keep us awakened. You understand? So we're not playing here, nobody's playing here. Forget the smile on people's faces, just that they're happy that, okay, we are doing this. But deep down, they really want to air out what they feel.
I hold a first-class degree in statistics.
And I have been unemployed for the past 6 years. I am a qualified mechanical engineer. No. I have been gainfully unemployed for 10 years. We have become the monster they made us.
So what would you say to the people that consider this to be very similar to like a festival? You know, they've said people have been selling weed. We can see people selling alcohol. What do you think about, you know, that like image that some people are portraying about this protest?
I may initially understand the frustration, but I just think there's so much more to it than that. It's such a generalization, and it's as though you're narrowing in and focusing on the, you know, what you deem to be the negative aspect and the negative aspect alone. There's so much that is right happening here, and I think people need to narrow in on that.
But to the protesters, the celebratory spirit was only a token of their culture. The reputation it built amongst them was that it was the most peaceful, well-organized protest site in the country. In a matter of days, they had built a set stage, protocols, and organizational infrastructure, handing out free food, haircuts, and COVID supply kits.
Hold on, I beg those of you that go towards the public toilet and you urinate or you mess up the frontage, if we catch you, it's not gonna be easy. Please, we beg you. Don't go there. If you go there, enter inside the public toilet. Don't urinate outside. Do we get that? And please, if they catch you smoking Igbo in this front crowd, seriously, they're gonna drag you out. So I'll plead with you. Don't smoke, don't sell here, please. If you are selling it, carry it to your house. That's not why we are here. Is that why we are here? Is that why we are here? We are not here to do anything illegal. We are here to display and to express our fundamental human right, which is basically to protest.
The things they've been able to put together in a week, legal aid, medical aid. I mean, they're sending ambulances here, not by any assistance from the government, just by themselves. They're people picking up. There's so many volunteers, people picking up, rubbish and trash at all times. Shifts starting from 5 a.m. in the morning, just to make sure that, the streets remain clean and everything works according. It's trust, and it's people giving and sacrificing of their time, basically, just to come here to make sure that they can be the change that they want to see.
I don't know any of these people, they don't know me, but we've come together for one common goal that we did not discuss about. It's just a vibe. That's the best way to put it. The collaboration is amazing, the unity. We can actually work. So this is us telling the old folks, listen, your time's up. You guys have failed us. Thank you, don't mention.
Does this like sort of micro example of running a government? Do you feel like this teaches you how to run 200 million people?
I'm not trying to be boastful, right? But I'll tell you something. When you're doing a research method and things, you start with a sample population, right? If people come together in truth and in deed, we won't just have a good Nigeria, we'll have a beautiful Nigeria.
I see more of this. I see more of people realizing their own use. I mean, everyone's bringing their skill set forth, and it doesn't matter what your skill set is. Everyone is contributing in one way or the other. So I see more of this, and I hopefully see more trust in our people. I mean, the Feminist Coalition has raised so much money, and the foundation there is honestly just trust. Like, trust that people will do the right thing with the money. I mean, in a matter of days, the amount of money that they're raising. So
this protest in general has shown a different side to Nigeria that a lot of us believed. We believed that people are stealing, people steal, people are dishonest, and also on a global scale, there's a belief that Nigerians are scammers. But even for me, I've seen a different side to Nigeria. Is this a side that you are familiar with, or are you just as surprised?
Just as surprised. I mean, maybe familiar with it on a smaller scale, but there are so many people here that are just coming here on their own, even cooking food from their homes just to give to people. People are finding shelter here, people are finding food here that would not otherwise have found food these days. So it's definitely shown me a new side on a much, much larger scale. And I just think it's a matter of putting the right people in the right place. Right now, we don't have the right people in the right place in government.
Now, I suppose use my story, do documentary to give people hope.
In Nigeria, fraud is not only a lifestyle revered by millions. It is not only an essential means of survival, it is one of, if not the most lucrative businesses in the country.
In every industry in Nigeria, there's an avenue for fraud.
When you look at the sums these guys steal, Jesus, damn.
The Nigerian prince email is dead. It's not, nobody still does that.
They're a key factor in the entire economy, you know, but obviously what they're doing is wrong.
This is very deep for you. What you want to talk about? I'm just telling you, people, if you want to go there.
On October 19th, Punch and other publications reported that Lagos state government lost 234 million naira due to the closure of the Lekki toll gate, a whopping $500,000. In a state already crippled by COVID-19, these protests affect the state significantly.
So personally, I feel they picked Lekki because, number one, the toll gate was blocked, and the toll gate is a means to an end for some people. I personally feel like there was a financial incentive behind that decision. I also feel like because majority of the people in Lekki were like, you know, celebrities, media personnel, more prominent young people, you know, obviously with a larger social media following, I think they felt like the protesters in Lekki were the leaders of the protest, if that makes sense. So I think they felt like if they shut down Lekki protests, then everywhere else, you know, it'll be a domino effect for all the other areas. I mean, it did.
Former Lagos State Governor and current APC leader Bola Tinubu addressed the nation, urging protesters to stop. You have made your point. Government has made a commitment to you. Please, please, and please call off the protests. Tuesday, October 20th, or 2010-20, the Lekki Massacre. It began at 11:49 a.m. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, declares a curfew effective at 4 p.m. the same day. Question, were you there on that day?
I was there. That particular day, we'd gone out, you know, shared out food and drinks to protesters, and the governor had declared a curfew for 4 p.m. He announced this at 12 p.m., that there was going to be a curfew at 4 p.m. Luckily, I don't live too far from the protest grounds, but there were a lot of people that, you know, I mean, Lekki is on the island, and, you know, the other side of Lagos is the mainland, and you have people that live in Epe, Aja, which are really like far locations, and considering Lagos traffic, there's no way they were going to get home before 4 p.m.
So because of the protests going around across the city, what is the average commute for like your staff that live in these different places just because of the protest?
So typically on a normal day, it would take them, let's say like 2.5 hours to get to work. With the protest, it would take them about 5 hours, sometimes even 6 hours, depending on if the road got blocked or if there was just excessive traffic. You know, quite a lot of protesters came from far and wide, so most people just decided that it wasn't going to be worth it for them to actually go home on that day.
Loadsad Promo Media Company, the owners of the billboard, stated, "On Tuesday, when the curfew was announced, we heeded the governor's warnings and didn't want our staff in any danger. Hence, by 3 p.m., our staff had been ordered to leave the site and the board was switched off based on the governor's curfew request."
Even if there's no power on a good day in that axis, there's always light at the toll gate. There was no light, the lights were off, the street lights were off. It was pitch black.
The company is owned by Sheyi Tinubu, son of former governor Bola Tinubu. 3:34 p.m. Reports of personnel allegedly disabling security cameras at Lekki tollgate.
That camera that you saw, it's not a security camera. That camera that you saw, it's not a motion camera. It's a laser camera for vehicles. When you are approaching the toll plaza, you will remember that there's a camera that is at the level of your car. What that camera does, it picks the tag on your car and it picks your number plate. That's where you get the boom before you approach when you're on the fast track lane, and you get the boom up so that you can pass. It's an infrared camera that just picks the tag on the vehicles, and that's the truth. Security cameras for the Lekki Plaza are still available. These are some of the footage that we're going to use for our own investigation. It was a decision that the local security company, the local personnel of LCC took in conjunction with their managing director, and said that because we're not going to be here, because it's a curfew from tomorrow or from tonight.
I got there around 2 p.m. and left at about 4:30 actually.
Why did you leave?
Why did I leave? Not really for fear of anything, but you know, I'd been there the day before and the day before, so I was a little bit tired on this particular day. I just wanted to go, hand out food to the protesters and go home.
6 p.m., all the lights at Lekki Tollgate area are switched off. 6:47 p.m., soldiers pull up in battle tanks and unleash several rounds of live ammunition on unarmed peaceful protesters. They shoot rounds for an hour and a half.
Right now, I'm safe. I'm at a safe distance. I had to run. I'm not even going to lie. Because the soldiers just pulled in like 10 vehicles, and they came down and they started shooting directly at us. Like, it was crazy.
You know, my phone started ringing, everyone was calling, and I was like, why is everyone calling me? Like, guys, chill. And I think I picked up, it was my sister who's in America. And she was like, are you okay? Are you okay? Where are you? Where are you? Go home, go home. I was like, calm down, I'm home. What's the problem? And she was like, they're shooting. And I was like, shooting where? She was like, at the protest. I was like, I just left the protest. She was like, they're shooting, go on Instagram. So some people that I'd physically seen that day, they were still there. You know, they went on Instagram Live and they were recording the whole entire thing, you know, just like, oh guys, you know, we're running for our lives, we're not safe, help, help, help. To think that I was there like moments before, it's not a feeling that I can explain.
The Nigerian military declare it is fake news and stated they had nothing to do with it.
The military, they were there on Nigerian soil, killing Nigerian citizens. The police and their Sars-like people came doing the same thing, aiming and shooting. Aiming, not they were pointing the gun at us and shooting live bullets. While the soldiers were trying to pick their shells, we were running around and picking their shells too because we wanted proof. These are some of the shells we picked. This one I call my own because it's landed right next to my ear. This one was one we took out from someone's lap.
Look at that sky, guy. You should be sitting now.
Who ordered people to be shot, and which branch of security services carried out the shootings?
Well, I mean, from the footage that we could see, because there are cameras that are at that facility.
Everyone sit down.
It seems to me that there will be men in military uniform, which will be Nigerian army or something.
So you're saying that it was military officers who ordered peaceful protesters be shot at Lekki?
Yeah, that's what
Lekki
the pictures,
Tollgate.
yes. They were there, that's what the footage, that's what it shows.
7:08 p.m. Lagos State pushes back 4 p.m. curfew to 9 p.m. to enable people stuck in traffic to get to their destination. This tweet was sent out during the shooting. What did it feel like knowing that you left an hour and a half before they started shooting?
Honestly, I'm still numb. I don't think I've recovered. I don't know how anybody who was physically there on that day or protested in the Lekki grounds can be over it. I just don't even think that's possible. You know, I haven't really slept. It's been a week, just under a week since it happened, and I haven't been able to sleep through the night. I think I've had like different series of emotions. You know, I don't think it's one particular feeling. I think on the day it was I felt hopeless. You know, it was very traumatic. So trauma, hopelessness, despair. I felt down. I just felt like all our effort literally was massacred, you know, on those grounds, and angry. You know, I think anger was probably the most overwhelming emotion for me.
MTN releases a letter stating that network issues are occurring in Lekki, Oniru, and Victoria Island due to the loss of auxiliary power supply at a hub in the area, the same region as the tollgate. Wednesday, October 21st, gunmen dressed in military uniforms continue to raid streets across the nation, opening fire on civilians.
Yeah, he's still on the floor. They are kicking him. Fuck!
All national stations are warned by the National Broadcast Commission not to embarrass the government. Channels, a very popular news station, goes off. The only Nigerian-owned news station covering the mayhem is Arise TV. Looters retaliate in Lagos. They burn down major establishments. One significant location includes TVC station, owned by APC leader Tinubu.
We are told that hoodlums have entered our studio. We had to cut off the show. We couldn't continue the show. We are going off now, and we're trying to get safe. Hoodlums have entered TVC, and they're attacking. They've started attacking us inside the studio. I had to cut off the show, and we couldn't go up. We can't continue the show right now.
They burned down the Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu's mother's house. They raid popular shops and restaurants and malls such as Spa and Farm City. Looters also raid the Oba of Lagos's home.
Oba of Lagos. Don't shop and everything. You don't see, you don't enter me poop.
Thursday, October 22nd. The Ikoyi Correctional Center is set on fire in what is believed to be an attempted jailbreak of inmates, aided by an invasion of thugs. Looters continue. They raid Circle Mall in Jakande, setting it ablaze.
Based on the situation of things in Lagos State at the moment, it's so difficult for anybody to come around. In fact, on behalf of Arise TV, if I will say something, I will say, let the fire service start coming down, because the fire here is still on, it's still burning.
They also raid a private warehouse storing massive supplies of COVID-19 palliatives.
Our food plenty there, oh. Plenty.
Food plenty.
Our food plenty for there.
A warehouse of 600 feet by 600 feet, full of COVID-19 products. Palliative that were supposed to be given to people during the COVID-19 period was hidden away in a warehouse, and Nigerians were dying of hunger and starvation. Look at this man struggling to survive.
Yes. Can you imagine?
Look at him. Something that is supposed to be brought to his home.
This thing for the past 2 hours.
Look at it.
It is still full.
Can you imagine?
Nigeria has more than enough. Nigeria has more than enough.
The Navy has collected their own. The armies have put their truck, collected their own. Immigration, custom, last man. And the warehouse has not gone half. The warehouse has not gone half.
Looters claim these were the palliatives meant to be dispersed in May during COVID lockdowns.
As you can see, the crowds outside the gate behind you there, they're very angry. It's a very tense situation. There's lots of misinformation about how these food resources are expected to be shared out. Could you shed some light on how you were directed to share this food to the people?
The intention of Mr. Governor Babajide Olusanwo is to ensure that the people have the feeling that, look, this government care about them, and if there's enough to go around, nobody will come and crowd there.
We don't know where they're taking the rice to. They are parking it inside private car. We are not seeing the food. Our children are hungry. Many of us are widows. We are single mothers.
You know the population of Lagos State. You all know it. So how do you expect everybody to get? In fact, Alimosho alone is like a country on its own.
They're talking to here. We don't know their mission. Please let them give us food. We don't see food. We don't see money. Our children are dying. May they help us.
It's not just for everybody in society, but those people that think they will need it. People that will need it, not those of us. Some of us here can afford rice and beans, for God's sake.
How can a government, how can you hold Indomine? I mean, this is intolerable. It's provocative. And so our government will have to apologize to the Nigerian people.
The federal government, essentially the president, had dispersed these palliatives to state governments. So they are also responsible in all this. The president's daughter, Zara, was under the heat because I think she commented that it's not all on her father. I think it's high time a lot of Nigerians hold their subnational leaders accountable.
Lagos State dispelled rumors, stating the Lagos State government has condemned the vandalization of the warehouse at Maza Housing, the food palliative packages donated to the government by the private sector coalition against COVID-19, CACOVID group. The items belong to the Southwest, contrary to social media reports that they are for Lagos State. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu had on September 22nd, 2020, formally taken receipt of the food palliatives from the CACOVID team meant for distribution to the indigent. The state had repackaged its share of consignment and was distributing it before the protests that have affected the activities in the state. The repackaging was being done to account for every beneficiary according to the agreement with the CACOVID group, which monitored the process. The distribution was ongoing but had to be halted due to the protests before the invasion of the warehouse today.
Inside Sanwo-Olu house. COVID-19, can you imagine? Over 30 of this was found in our possession. That is meant for palliative for the coronavirus, for the youth to see. This one was found in Mama Sanwo-Olu's house. Over 30 of it, among many others. So.
Look at this. Look at this. So much. Look at this. This is the palliative they promised they are bringing. This is Plateau State Jos. Today's date is 24th of October. This is what is happening in Jos City.
There's no reason why mid-October you have bags of rice, bags of gari, bags of pasta, all sorts of things in a warehouse. There were millions. Did you guys, if you saw the video, there were millions. And it's like, who are you storing it for? You storing it for the next election so you can give the hoodlums to vote for you? Like, why are you storing these things? It makes no sense, And the people that are storing, these food items, it's not like they can eat them. You can't even eat all of that, even if you tried, so it makes no sense.
Some people say they were storing it so they can sell it.
Well, possibly. These things specifically had not for sale on them. You're not supposed to sell them. But of course, this is the Nigerian system. Nobody cares about the other person. Everybody's thinking about their selfish interests, and you're thinking, we're probably going to repackage, this rice and put it in the market and sell and make money from it. Just any way to make money in Nigeria. And these are the things that we're fighting against.
A lot of speculation there. Chances are, but I get it. Somebody that works within the government, Kaduna State government, told me that the federal government had ordered state governments not to share all the palliatives till they are done receiving the complete amount allocated to them. And it's from a decent source that I know is genuine. I guess a lot of states were ordered to stack in case a second wave of the coronavirus hits. But that doesn't answer the question of the lack of transparency either. Because how do we know state governments had shared those goods? How do we know the amount? So there are a lot of questions to be asked in that regard.
Do you think it sort of represents this theory or this speculation that this person has told you? Does that then represent the disorganization of the government? Because why would you hoard millions of supplies
perhaps.
And wait for the full circle to come before you then start distributing to the mass population.
So the issue with Nigeria is not one person, you know, there's a systemic rot in the system, and you find that on every single level, top level, middle level, lower level, there is always a corrupt person in there that distorts the progress of the country.
Politics is about service. That's just the truth of the matter. Leadership is about service. A lot of people have forgotten that.
They tend to blame the incumbent government. I do not do that. Not because I'm a member of APC, not because my father's a state governor, but because as a political scientist, I know that is not how you judge leadership. I believe since the 60s, Nigerian leaders have not performed at the optimum level, and we're all living with the consequences of those failed policies, indecision, lack of compassion, and it still exists till this very day.
This anarchy was displayed across social media for the world to see. Throughout these protests, there was no word from President Buhari, but finally he addressed the nation on Thursday, October 22nd.
Human lives have been lost. Acts of sexual violence have been reported. All these executed in the name of the End Sars protests. Let me pay tribute to officers of the Nigerian Police Force who have tragically lost their lives in the line of duty. To our neighbors in particular, and members of the international community, many of whom have expressed concern about the ongoing development in Nigeria, we thank you and urge you all to seek to know all the facts available before taking a position or rushing to judgment and making hasty pronouncements.
So I think the Nigerian government haven't cared about its people for a very long time. I was so angry, I was so upset with our government, you know, the sheer audacity, you know, we have a right to protest, especially if it's peaceful. You know, and Lekki, like I said, was the most peaceful protest ground. There were no issues. We never had any issues of, you know, looters or hoodlums hijacking the movement. This Lekki Massacre was their biggest mistake.